This is feedback on the library essay. I'll be sending them back to you. I'll be sending them back to you this week. I think this is a reasonably useful exercise. Some of you will have got marking from somebody else. Not everybody's done that, but you'll get back at least your essay if you marked the one that you marked, plus my feedback. And then this is some verbal feedback, just on what we discovered from that essay. So this essay was taken from the 2019 paper. And actually, it was done much worse than we thought it was going to be. So part A, all part essays are 10 marks, and basically it was something along the lines of explain why public goods are an example of market failure. So what you'll find is that there are 6 marks for what's called AO1, which is knowing stuff, and 4 marks for AO3, which is explaining stuff. So the AO1 is for, firstly, clearly understanding what a public good is, and clearly understanding what market failure is. That's where your AO1 is coming from. And your AO3 is from explaining exactly why it is that public goods cause market failure. So actually we were quite disappointed by these because people didn't really seem to understand. So people didn't really seem to understand that in a free market there won't be any public goods. And there were loads of answers that kind of dribbled on about the government providing them and so on and so forth. So in order to get you 10 marks, what you had to do was actually, I thought, really simple. Which is to say, well, what is a public good? Essentially, they have 2 key characteristics. You had to say what non-excludability was, which is we can't, basically once it's provided, you can't stop non-payers. And give an example would have been sensible. So a lot of people got kind of drawn down the whole roads thing in the top, whereas in reality we're talking about things like flood defences and stuff like that. So what you really want to do is say once we build the flood defences, then whether or not somebody, or if flood defences are built, then whether or not somebody somebody has paid, they can't be excluded, they can't be stopped from using those flood defences. That's the whole nature of flood defences. Which is if we build them on a river, then all houses are protected, whether or not they've made any contribution. They're also non-diminishable, or depending on who taught you, non-diminishable or non-rivalrous, which means that an additional user, in the case of non-diminishability, an additional user doesn't reduce the amount of flood defences available. So if I come and build my house next to your house, there's still the same amount of flood defences that are available as before. Or non-rivalrous, me building a house doesn't stop you from using the flood defences, either way. So that gets you quite a long way, and then a good understanding of market failure, which is a free market, i.e. one with no government, leading to a misallocation of resources, resulting in a welfare loss. So in order to, so market failure, has those 3 elements. It's no government. So it's just the force of supply and demand. Leads to a misallocation of resources, that results in a welfare loss. And if you do that, those things together, showing that you clearly understand what a public good is, and that you clearly understand what market failure is, then you should have got 6 for AO1. For AO3, you've got to say, well, why is it? Why is it that we end up with market failure? Now, some people, just kind of chatted about the free rider problem, which is fine. But what I really wanted you to say is that, in a free market, the way I do is lay it out clearly. I'd say that in a free market, obviously, firms are profit maximizers, profit makers. They're attempting to maximize profits. That's our first assumption. So therefore, only profitable goods will be supplied. And the key characteristic that's the problem here is non-excludability. And what you then need to do is to explain, well, why non-excludability then results in the good not being supplied. So what you're going to say is if it's non-excludable, then what that means is if it's non-excludable, we can't stop non-payers. Because we can't stop non-payers, therefore no rational individual, and market-based economies are assumed to have rational individuals, no rational individual would pay. Therefore there'd be no revenue for the firm, therefore there will be no supply. And that's a problem for a free market economy, because these goods clearly yield a lot of social utility, so not supplying them would be a misallocation of resources. Public goods would be undersupplied. There's a diagram that I think I probably invented it, I don't know, but there's a diagram that I use, where you kind of say, suppose this is kind of kilometres of seawall or something, flood defences. Then obviously each, and if that's marginal cost, each kilometre of seawall, costs the same as any other kilometre of seawall. I don't know. I suppose it's 20k. But different levels of seawall, seawall in different areas gives different levels of protection. In dangerous, floody places, you get high benefit. There's the Oxford seawall, protecting us from tidal floods. So what we can see is that in a free market, ideally we would want, whatever that is, kind of 50,000 kilometres of seawall. And we want to produce all the ones where the additional benefit, this is marginal benefit, we want to produce all the seawall where the additional benefit is greater than the additional cost. We'd go always there. In a free market, because there's non-excludable, you'd have no kilometres of seawall. Therefore, all of that would be welfare loss, and therefore public goods are an example of market failure, because the market fails to maximise welfare. Okay, so generally nobody did that. Maybe I shouldn't have been surprised yet, but in the real exam, it was a complete car crash. So part B then also was a problem. It was something along the lines of discuss whether government intervention to correct market failure does more harm than good. So therefore, in reality, the whole of that essay was supposed to be about government failure, versus the correction of market failure. In the exam, what a lot of people did is they just kind of went, well, the government can do good. The government can do good because it fixes market failure, but sometimes it goes wrong. But that's not more harm than good. And such essays ended up unable to access the very top level. And if you look at the mark scheme that I've sent back with your essay, you'll see that excellent, is AO1 5 to 6, AO3 5 to 6, and AO4, which is the evaluation stuff, which is 6 to 8. So therefore, your maximum was 4, 4, 5, which is 13 out of 20. If you didn't think about this idea, that actually government intervention may do more harm than good. But more harm than good, therefore, means a welfare loss. What's happening here is, as the government intervenes and it tries to correct market failure and therefore decrease welfare loss. That's what's supposed to be going on. So a sensible way of going about this would be do something like some sort of merit good or something and say, well, look, or demerit good, doesn't really matter. Let's have a demerit good. Let's have cigarettes. There's the quantity. There's the cost and benefits. There's your marginal private benefit, which is demand, because that's marginal utility. Here's your marginal social benefit, because that's less than the marginal private benefit. That's marginal cost, which is supply, and we'll assume there are no production externalities. So therefore, in a free market, we'll go to where supply equals demand, QEQ. The socially optimum level is here, where marginal social, so that's marginal social cost and marginal private cost. So the socially optimum level is here, where marginal social cost equals marginal social benefit. We've gone past that point, and all these units therefore have marginal social cost greater than marginal social benefit. That's your welfare loss. What you then say is, well, government intervention can sort this out. Government intervention, we could impose a tax to try to reduce the equilibrium, to the socially optimum level. We impose a tax of that level. Government's fixed the market failure, and it's done more good than harm. What you've now got to do is to say, well, how might this cause more harm than good? Why might it actually lead to, a welfare loss? So firstly, we could say, well, actually, we drive the tax too high. So we get the tax up here at this level. And then that results in underconsumption and welfare loss. Or you could talk about how side effects, create welfare losses. So we know that in the case of alcohol in various places, but in Russia, what it did when they tried to drive the price up too high, people took to making it at home, and it sent people blind, mad, and killed them. Therefore, they have done more harm than good because resources have been misallocated further as a result of government intervention. And all you really needed to do for this one was to come up with 3 scenarios where the government intervenes, it thinks it's doing more good than harm, and it might indeed do so, but in reality there are side effects and problems that create more harm than good. And when we talk about more harm than good, we're talking about this idea of, in all cases, welfare, welfare loss, yeah, and misallocation of resources. And if you focused on that, it was actually quite easy. All you had to do really was to come up with three. Well, you could have got away with two, but yeah, kind of sensibly, yeah. Given that you got sort of 15 minutes for part A, yeah, you got 35 minutes for part B. I'd have gone 10, 10, 10, 5, yeah. So I'd have had three interventions, yeah, 10 minutes. I'd have had three interventions, yeah, that I talked about how they could work, how they might go wrong, and how that could lead to a welfare, how government intervention could lead to a welfare loss, misallocation of resources, and then a conclusion saying, under what circumstances would the government be more likely to do harm than good? Yeah, so you might talk about then you could bring in things like if the government's ill-informed, yeah, or doesn't have full information, there's information asymmetry and so on, then it's more likely to screw it up and create more harm than good. Whereas in simple situations where there's good information, it's more likely to do good than harm. Yeah. So I mean, in the exam, it was, as I say, I was marking it this summer. They're very disappointing, yeah, because people just wanted to copy out their notes. They didn't want to think about this idea of, they didn't want to think, yeah, and that's what I want you to be doing this year. Yeah, is actually when you take a title, any question on any paper, actually think about what you think the answer is, not just default to your notes. Anyway, so we'll be doing some more of this type of stuff. Thank you for everybody who, well, A, wrote it. Yeah, there are about sort of 15 or 20 of you. B, all of those you had to go marking at it. There were fewer of those. But nevertheless, yeah, I think, yeah, if what you do now is you take your answer, look at the mark scheme, yeah, look at my comments, and look at this video, yeah, then I think you'll get a good sense, not just for this essay, but of what part A's and B's, of this type of essay actually involve. Yeah. So all A's and B's essentially have the same mark grid. Yeah. So therefore, once you get used to doing it on one, you get used to it on another. And doing it under time conditions, again, is very good practice. Okay, so that's it for now. As you probably know, I'm doing kind of end topic summaries for micro and macro. So I've done the micro one and I've sent you an email about that one. If you're interested, there'll be one coming up on kind of theory of trade, comparative advantage and protectionism. Probably not going to have time to do it now, but I'll do it sometime this week. So that'll be there. And what I'll try and do is put that with some notes and so on. But anyway, as far as this essay is concerned, I'm done. Bye bye.